So yeah, so what are the features you like best about the, well, let's look at the X Pro 1 system and then we'll look at the X100.
Okay, so the X Pro, I had the X10, which is a great little camera, perfect as a kind of B cam, do you know what I mean, in your bag. The X20 is just basically growing on that. The key thing about this camera for me is, well, A, it looks lovely, absolutely stunning, but also it's that lens. Because they've given you a zoom lens, but they've made it 2.8 all the way through. Because there's no point, I mean, I know rival people have brought out similar focal lengths, but if it goes to 5.6 when it's zoomed out, I'm not interested in that because it changes my exposure. So for video or stuff like that, or even just for dropping the focus, personally I'd rather have a shorter zoom and a constant good aperture than giving me a ridiculous zoom that the trade-off is not worth it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I suppose using the X20 more for personal.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen some of the shots I've taken, and you know, I was very pleased with what I got. But it's a camera that you can do a group and then zoom in, get a portrait very quickly. It's not my primary choice for professional work, but for family and stuff like that, absolutely. Because I'm very lucky, I have the X Pro and I have my X100, so I use that for my professional work. But as a camera to have in your bag, throw in, forget, pull out and snap those kind of candid shots, perfect.
Okay, and on the X Pro, which you don't have here, with the X Pro one, what attracts you to that? Obviously there's the size, but apart from the size.
Well, that was the first camera to come out after the X100, so it was kind of like, okay, now they seem to be quite serious. There's a range of good lenses, let's see what it can do. And I love it. It's a really good bit of kit. I like the viewfinder. It is, I know I've joked about it being a Leica that works. I had a Leica M9. Right. I love the build quality. It's a fabulous thing to hold, but as a professional photographer, you can't photograph people constantly. It just doesn't do it. It's for shot, wait for the firmware to catch up, then shot, but that's fine. But in a professional environment where you've got to take pictures, it locked up on me so much that actually I sold it. Right. And I was looking for a camera that could kind of fill that void, do you know what I mean? And the X Pro does that, because it's got kind of the Fuji firmware, but coupled with the build quality and the design. With the hybrid viewfinder, do you tend to use the optical or the electronic? I switch between the two. I really do. I really switch. Depends on what I'm shooting. I really do. I kind of like the electronic, actually. I kind of going towards that, but it's lovely to have the option. It's really nice, yeah. So I do switch between the two. And it is built like a tank, and I think that's quite important. It's tiny, but nothing's fallen off, do you know what I mean? So, and if you're out in the field, that's quite important, yeah. Right. I mean, I've got the optional grip on it, and one thing I do with mine is that I put the thumbs up grips in the hot shoe, so it just gives you an extra purchase. Oh, yeah. It's a really important way, so actually you can hold it then with one hand, and that really kind of finishes off the camera in terms of ergonomics. So now you've got the X100S. How have you noticed the difference between that and the X100? Well, I was lucky to get the X100S just before I went away for a job in New York, and I just literally grabbed it, threw it in the bag, went away, and had really good fun playing with it. It's everything the X100 is, in that they've kept the body, they've kept the really good bit of glass and the leaf shutter lens, but they've completely changed the insides. So you've got a revamped sensor, revamped processor. I mean, for me, the two things that stood out were ISO and focusing speed. Because I know a lot of people are going, oh, it doesn't focus, and that's absolute rubbish. Of course it focuses. This is the X100. But it's just not an issue. I went out on the street, Times Square, wandered about, never dropped focus once. Noticing the speed difference? Yeah, well, yes, but the way I describe it is if you don't notice it, it's no longer an issue. Yeah. I mean, I say that about startup times as well. Some people go, oh, they don't start up fast enough. Well, I didn't notice. And the reason I didn't notice is because I never waited. And I think that's about everything, whether it's focusing or startup times. You know, everyone can look at any camera and find a list of things, niggles, that you think, oh, I wish that could be that. But as long as the fundamentals are right, I mean, to be honest, what Fuji do, which is different from other manufacturers, is when they brought out the X100, they kept upgrading the firmware. I think we had 4 or 5 firmware upgrades, and every time they did that, it got better and better and better. And I think it's that constant evolution. You know, you get a product, but then it's constantly being improved. That's something that as a user, I really appreciate, because you can feed back to them and they do listen. And you know, if you're very lucky and you've been good at Christmas, they'll implement the things that you hope you want in firmware terms. So yeah, That's kind of where I am. I mean, they answered a question that I had, which was to have smaller kit, because I fly a lot. I like to go to work by motorcycle. By the time you've got mini lights, mini stand, you don't want to carry loads of camera gear. You want to make it as light as possible. And these were the first guys to mix the quality of the optic, great sensor, with, to be honest, they look gorgeous as well.
They do.
Yeah, so that's another reason.